Okay, guys, once again, I welcome you to my lesson for today. Obviously, most of you, you know, my name is Desmond. So, guys, thanks so much for joining, and I hope you will enjoy the lesson for today. So, remember, guys, in case if you happen to have any question while I'm still busy, either reading through the given statement or otherwise interpreting the given diagram, you are welcome to ask any relevant question. But most important, ladies and gentlemen, it's very much important that I say it's very, very much important because, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to say is massively important. So, guys, a day without learning something new, it's a day wasted. By so saying, ladies and gentlemen, please do make sure that by the end of each and every lesson that I conduct, you learn something new. So, guys, obviously, for today, we'll be looking at analytical geometry for grade 11. So, obviously, most of the stuff which are in grade 11, you also find similar stuff in grade 12 and again in grade 11, in grade 10. The only difference might be the manner or the way in which questions are asked. So this was in November 2018 mathematics paper 2 exam paper of grade 11. So this was their question 3. So obviously, if you're able to answer this question, ladies and gentlemen, it means you won't have any difficulties in answering your mid-year exam paper. So guys, I'm going to try by all means to make sure that my explanation is clear, and again, it does not confuse you in any way. So ladies and gentlemen, before I start with the lesson for today, can someone just confirm for me if everything is clear in terms of the audio, and again, if you are able to see on the screen, and again, if you are able to see whatever that I've written over there. Guys, are we still on the same page? Are you able to clearly hear me when I speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So guys, what I'm going to do, remember to mute your mic, Lungisa. So guys, what I'm going to do is to read through that given statement, and again, I'm going to try to redraw this diagram, ladies and gentlemen, so that from time to time we can refer to the diagram that I drew. But as for the given information, we can still refer to this tablet, or otherwise, I know each of you has got that information that I send in the group, so you can always refer to that information, just in case if it's not clear on the screen or otherwise it's a bit blurry. So guys, the statement reads as follows. In the diagram, we've got point A, which is -2 and 2. We've got B, which is 6 and 5. We've got point C, which is 0 and -3. And D, which is X and Y. So these are the vertices of a quadrilateral having AD parallel to BC. BA produced has an x-intercept at E. BD and AC intersect at M. N being T and 0, it's a point on AD. So guys, as you can see over there, we are given the diagram. Most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be aware that the given diagram is a quadrilateral. Okay, massively important, ladies and gentlemen. And before you start to interpret whatever that is drawn on the diagram, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be aware of something. So guys, at all times, when you want to nicely interpret the given diagram, start firstly by drawing your axis. Obviously, we know the horizontal axis refers to the x-axis, of which it seems like on the question paper they made a mistake over there. Can you see? We've got our horizontal line represented by y, we've got our vertical line represented by x. So let's just correct that mistake and say we know on a Cartesian plane the horizontal axis is represented by the x-axis. Guys, are you able to see that point over there and that point over there? Is it appearing on the screen? Otherwise, I'll just have to make it a bit shorter. Okay, so let me make it a bit shorter so that everyone is able to see. So guys, let me start it there and make that horizontal line up to maybe somewhere there and say this is the x-axis. Obviously, we know the horizontal axis of a Cartesian plane represents the x-axis. Remember, guys, I want to try and redraw that diagram while at the same time trying to interpret whatever that is given on that information. Then, as soon as I'm done, I'm going to go back again to that given statement, read it again for the last time, just to check in case if there's an information on the diagram which is given only in the statement, because it happens sometimes where you've got the information given on the statement but not shown or represented on the diagram. So ladies and gentlemen, I was saying on this question paper, it seems like they made a mistake. On the horizontal axis, it's represented by the y. On the vertical axis, it's x over there. So I'm saying, let's try to make that correction to say this horizontal line represents the x-axis and the vertical line represents the y-axis. Remember, guys, this is just a hand, a hand-drawn diagram, so it won't be 100% or it won't be drawn to scale. So guys, obviously, you know this is almost accurate. That's what I'm actually trying to redraw. So ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call a Cartesian plane, okay, consisting of the x-axis and the y-axis. A diagram functions or the graphs or whatever is drawn on a Cartesian plane. So please do not get confused by the functions, ladies and gentlemen. Be able to distinguish the graph, the straight lines, the functions or whatever. Be able to distinguish those and again be able to notice where is your Cartesian plane. Obviously, this is 0, ladies and gentlemen. It's that point over there at the intersection of your y and your x-axis. You've got 0 over there, which is called the origin. Okay, so now that we've got a Cartesian plane drawn, let's now draw all of that information, ladies and gentlemen. So remember, this drawing is guided by those coordinates of A, B, C, and D. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, before you even draw all of that, you first need to have those coordinates in a form of points. So now let's start with point A. Obviously, we know that's where let me do this, ladies and gentlemen. That's obviously where we've got -1, -2, 1, 2. Okay, so that means we are going to have a point there or somewhere there, which is point A, ladies and gentlemen, where we've got -2 and 2. Okay, so notice something, guys. Even if that A is written a bit far away from that point, we know very well that that A doesn't matter whether it's written somewhere there or wherever in that quadrant. We know it refers to that point. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's now check point B. So obviously X is 6, which means it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the Y or the corresponding Y value is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means point B, it could be somewhere there, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's move to point C. Obviously, we know it's 0. Let's say -1, -2, -3. So it could be somewhere there, ladies and gentlemen. But remember, guys, let's write those coordinates of B. So B, I'm not sure if that point it shows on the screen. So it's 6 and 5. It's 6 and 5. Okay, so now the C coordinates is 0 and -3. Remember, guys, listen to me very carefully every time when I make use of these words. So we've got a point, right? So A, it's a point with these coordinates. So that means when we talk of the coordinates, every time when the question says or mentioned or mentions the word coordinates, it refers to the X and the Y value. Okay, so A is a point and these are the coordinates. B is a point, these are the coordinates. C is a point, these are the coordinates. Which point? That point, that point, that point. What about D? So D, it's somewhere there, ladies and gentlemen. We are not really sure in terms of where exactly, but we know it has to be somewhere there. So let me just make an assumption to say it's probably somewhere, let's say somewhere there, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just make a point there so that you are able to see on the screen. Okay, so guys, now that we've got all these coordinates, there we've got X and Y. Now that we've got all these coordinates, ladies and gentlemen, you just need a ruler to connect all of these points. So I'll try to connect, ladies and gentlemen, even though it might not be a 100% accurate or straight, but I'll try. Can you see, ladies and gentlemen? So this is how you draw or redraw the given diagram. So straight, you connect. So ladies and gentlemen, we just have to force it to connect up to there. Okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, this is that quadrilateral that they are talking about. And most importantly, notice those arrows. So we've got those two arrows, we've got those two arrows over there. We know formation associated with two arrows. And again, ladies and gentlemen, there's points B and D. So let's try also redraw that line. I hope I'm just going to force it to connect up to there, ladies and gentlemen. And again, we've got that line which joins coordinates of point A to point B. So guys, I'm also going to try and connect those lines. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you also need to notice something over there. You can see that point of intersection of the lines which are drawn inside the quadrilateral. We've got at that point, and that point is M. Very much important, ladies and gentlemen. And again, you are able to notice that you've got that point over there, which is that point there, exactly at that point. And that point is called N. So N, you've got a value being referred to. T, you've got a the y value obviously is 0 at that point. And again, ladies and gentlemen, as you this is a straight line, we just extend there, ladies and gentlemen. So the point that they're talking about is that point over there, which is called point E. So just make a point there to say this is called point E. So ladies and gentlemen, as you can see over there, in short, I've actually redrawn that diagram over there. So now what I'm going to quickly do is to read through that given statement. Ladies and gentlemen, why do I need to read through that statement after redrawing that diagram? It's because I need to confirm if I've got any additional information in relation to this diagram, which is not represented on this diagram. So that is the reason why I need to read that statement again. So guys, can you please confirm for me if we are still together up to this point? And again, if there are any questions.
We're still together, sir.
Okay, so in the diagram A, which is -2 and 2, there is A is -2 and 2, there is B, which is 6 and 5, there we've got C, which is 0 and -3, there we've got a D, which is X and Y. They said these are the vertices of a quadrilateral. So those are the corners A, B, C, and D. These are the corners of the vertices of a quadrilateral having AD. This is AD being parallel to BC. So ladies and gentlemen, those two arrows, this is a confirmation that AD is parallel to BC. What does it mean, ladies and gentlemen, when two lines are parallel to each other? It means that their gradients are the same. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So that means the gradient of those two lines are the same. It means the slope of this and the slope of this are the same, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what it means. That's what it means when they say this line is parallel to that line, because it's a quadrilateral, ladies and gentlemen. Because it's a quadrilateral, it means also these two lines are parallel, ladies and gentlemen, even though they did not indicate to say those two lines are also parallel. The reason why they don't need to show you there, it could be because you won't need any information about those two lines in order for you to answer the upcoming questions. But otherwise, if you do need information on these lines, obviously, because they said the whole of this is a quadrilateral, then you know if it's a quadrilateral, this line should be parallel to that line, and again, that line should be parallel to that line. Okay, and again, ladies and gentlemen, for this to be quadrilateral, it means if you draw this line and that line, this should be the center of that point and that point. And again, this should be the center of that point and that point. In other words, what do I mean, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, this is the midpoint. This is the midpoint, is the center of this point and that point, or otherwise is the center of that line, ladies and gentlemen. And again, similarly, that same point is the center of that line, or otherwise is the midpoint of A and C, which means that M, deliberately they used M to represent the midpoint. Okay, so if it happens that they want you to calculate the coordinates of A, ladies and gentlemen, you know that A is the midpoint of that line and that line. If you use the coordinates of B and D to calculate that point, it should be the same point as when you use the coordinates of A and C. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So for us to say this is a quadrilateral is because these lines are parallel, the gradients are the same, and again, the gradients of those two lines are the same. Okay, massively important, ladies and gentlemen. And again, as part of your homework, for a quadrilateral, try to check if this side is equals to that side, and again, if this side is equals to that side. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, I won't be chasing you for all the homeworks that I'm giving you, but I notice some of you take them seriously and you send them via inbox in my Telegram. I am not really interested in your homework being wrong or correct, but just the commitment to show that you have attended my lesson, you have tried to do something. Then one day I'm going to need to refer to those who have been taking this homework seriously. It doesn't really matter whether you do it immediately after the lesson, 2 days later, or a week later. Just the commitment to indicate that you're taking this lesson seriously. So, ladies and gentlemen, BA, where's BA? There is BA produced has an x-intercept at E. So that part we have done it, ladies and gentlemen. BD, where is BD? There's B, there's D, and AC, where is A? There's A, there's C, intersect at M. That one we know. It's also represented on the diagram. N, ladies and gentlemen, where is N? N is that point, is T, where Y it's 0. And again, they say this is a point on AD. So that means there is A, there is D. So N is a point along that straight line of AD. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I think now I'm confident enough to go and tackle the questions in relation to this diagram because I've drawn the diagram. Now I fully understand what the examiner was trying to do over there. So you will see, ladies and gentlemen, when we tackle these questions, after you have drawn or redraw the diagram, otherwise, if you have familiarized yourself enough with the given diagram, you won't struggle that much when you have to tackle these questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, I need an indication to you if we are all ready to start answering the questions. So remember, guys, in case if you've got any question, this is your opportunity to ask before we start with our questions. So guys, unmute and give me an indication if you've got any questions, you don't have any questions, is it clear, do you understand so far, etc.
It's all clear, sir.
It's clear, sir.
Okay, so now let's start with answering the questions. So I'm just going to remove that and bring this over there. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you're able to see. Just make sure that you're able to see everything over there. And again, if you're not able to see, just let me know. I'm not sure if I should do this. Guys, are you able to see everything on the screen, especially that diagram over there. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So now let's have a look at our first question. So the first question says calculate the gradient of BC. So guys, it seems like I'm running out of battery, but just make sure that you've got that question paper that I sent in the group, because obviously if the battery dies, then I'll just read from my other phone. So but it's fine, these questions are not that long. Luckily I've drawn that diagram. So guys, calculate the gradient of BC, and this question is allocated 2 marks. So ladies and gentlemen, let's calculate the gradient of BC. Firstly, we need to check where is our BC. There is our BC, ladies and gentlemen. Now that we've got our BC, let's formulate. So this is question 3.1. We know that gradient, which can be represented as M, or otherwise we can say G for gradient. Which gradient? Gradient of BC. We know gradient is equals to change in y over change in x. Okay, what does change mean? It means y2 minus y1. Ladies and gentlemen, all over, change means x2 minus x1. Okay, so in this case, which one is 1 and which one is 2? Guys, I'm going to explain to you how I used to do these things and assign which one is 1, which one is B. Alphabetically, we know we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So whichever letter comes first, it becomes my first coordinates. Whichever letter that comes after, it becomes my second x and y values. So ladies and gentlemen, now that I'm dealing with B and C, that means B, I've got my x1 and my y1. So ladies and gentlemen, C comes after B. That means I've got my x2 and my y2. So ladies and gentlemen, at all times, if you can be consistent and do it this way, even when you do other questions, you know which one you regard as y2 and which one you regard as y1. So that means your y2 minus y1, obviously in that case, that means your C is going to be your second value. So that means you've got y of C there and y of B there. Then you're going to have y of C there, and there you're going to have x of B. Sorry guys, there is x of C minus x of B. So in this way, you won't go wrong in substituting, ladies and gentlemen. And most importantly, at all times, when you substitute, put it in brackets, ladies and gentlemen. When you substitute, put it in brackets. Let's see, what is our y2? In brackets, ladies and gentlemen, our y2 is the y value of C, which is -3. Okay, minus, which is that minus from the original formula, into, ladies and gentlemen, what is the y of the point B? It's 5. So there obviously it means it's 5 over, what is the x of C? Is 0, ladies and gentlemen, minus what is the x of B over there, ladies and gentlemen, the x of b is 6. Now you can punch all of this on a calculator and tell me what answer you get, ladies and gentlemen. I'm also going to perform that calculation on my calculator. Someone who gets the answer, please let me know what you're getting.
It's 4/3.
It's 4/3, sir. The gradient of BC is 4/3.
3 minus 4 is 6. 4/3, ne? Okay, great. So gradient of b is equals to 4/3. Okay, nice. So now I also got the same answer. So ladies and gentlemen, remember, no matter if you use the coordinates as x1, y1, you use 2 and y2. With you typically we get that same answer, ladies and gentlemen. So now we've got the gradient of BC. Let's just write it somewhere there. Maybe let's use a different color so that we know. Black represents the points and also the Cartesian plane. Then that color there, it represents what we drew on the Cartesian plane. In red, ladies and gentlemen, it represents what we calculate. This is what I used to do when I was teaching. I asked something else, the other represent as something else. Do this over and over again, get more confidence to an extent where you don't different guys say N or then or B, C is equals to positive for something. This places X and Y for a line or straight line in that direction, ladies and gentlemen, in that direction, your gradient must be positive. So I usually, obviously, it's not this is east, this is so from south to northeast, the gradient most likely to make a mistake when you substitute, ladies and gentlemen, by mixing the numbers. So guys, how do you then notice a line with a negative gradient? So ladies and gentlemen, a line in that direction. A line in that direction. Remember, guys, in that case, I've got that line, it means positive gradient. That line, it means positive gradient. That line, positive gradient. That line, positive gradient. That one is the one which has to be a negative gradient. So I'm not sure if you fully understand, ladies and gentlemen, but in short, remember, if it's a vertical straight line, the gradient is 0. The moment it tilts towards the left, so that means any line tilted in that direction, doesn't matter, in any direction, ladies and gentlemen, the gradient is negative. Only when it's horizontal, the gradient is 0. Then when it tilts in that direction, ladies and gentlemen, the gradient is positive. So guys, the reason why I'm teaching you this is so that at all times you are able to notice if you made a mistake or not. Okay, so I hope that was useful, ladies and gentlemen. So now we expected a positive gradient for a B and C. So if we get a positive answer, it gives us the confidence that we might have done the correct calculation. Just imagine you are in exam, they say you are left with 3 minutes and you have to do this question very quickly. So now there's no time for you to recalculate. The moment you calculate in your head, you know you're expecting a positive answer. Whatever positive answer you get, you just continue with that calculation. Otherwise, if you get a negative answer, you know if you don't correct it, every calculation that is based on that previous calculation, you know it's going to be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, let's now move to a question 3.2. But before I move to question 3.2, ladies and gentlemen, is there someone who's got a question in relation to question 3.1?
No, sir.
Okay, great. So remember, this question was allocated 2 marks. Where do you get those marks? For correct substitution and for correct final answer. So that's where you score marks for that question. So now let's move to question 3.2. It says determine the equation of AD. Ladies and gentlemen, determine the equation of AD. So equation of AD is what they want you to determine. So this question, I think it's allocated 3 marks. So ladies and gentlemen, it's very, very much important at all times that when you're given an equation to determine, when you're given a question to determine an equation, ask yourself, what type of an equation am I determining, or what type of a function is there on the given diagram? So ladies and gentlemen, it's a straight line. Since it's a straight line, you can just write the general formula of a straight line. So obviously we know what is it? It's y is equals to x, mx plus c. So let me just remove that over there and say it's equals to m, which refers to the gradient, x, which is the x coordinate, plus c, which is the y intercept. So ladies and gentlemen, we are determining an equation of AD, of line AD. So guys, what is it that we need for us in order to be able to determine an equation of line AD? Obviously, the first thing, ladies and gentlemen, that should come into your mind is the gradient. So that means we need the gradient of AD. Okay, what else, ladies and gentlemen? We also need just 1 point. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. 1 point along AD. So this is all that we need in order for us to determine an equation of that line AD. Where is AD, ladies and gentlemen? This is AD. Okay, so now do we have the gradient of AD given? No, we do not have the gradient of AD given either on this diagram or otherwise on the given statement. Do we have a point, ladies and gentlemen, along AD? An answer to that question is a yes. How many points have we got? We've got point A, we've got point N, we've got point D. All of these points are along line AD. But which point is it going to help us to determine the equation of AD? It's a point that has the x and the y value. Where is that point, or which point is that? Is it point D? No. Why? Because point D is represented by x and y. Guys, is it point N? No. Why? Because we've got unknown x value over there represented by D, just like over there we've got x and y. Guys, is it point A? It seems like it could be point A. Why? Because we've got the actual values of the x and the y coordinates. So that means we are sorted, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of the point along AD, we are sorted. We've got -2, and again we've got 2. So guys, it's very, very much important that you are able to gather all the information that you need, and again consult with the given diagram to find out if the information is there. But now it seems like this could be an issue because we do not have the values that we can use to calculate the gradients, just like we did on the previous question where we had the coordinates of B and the coordinates of C. So ladies and gentlemen, remember, they've indicated to us that this is a quadrilateral. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, they said this line AD is parallel to this line BC. I'm not sure if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, but I am pretty much sure that you remember very well because I've emphasized that point. So what does it mean if we've got lines which are parallel? It means, ladies and gentlemen, the gradient. It means the gradient of BC is equals to the gradient of AD. It's equals to the gradient of AD. Ladies and gentlemen, why am I saying the gradient of BC is equals to the gradient of AD? Reason to that is because line AD, as given in the information, is parallel to line BC. So that is the reason why I am going to say the gradient, ladies and gentlemen, of AD is equals to 4 over 3. So guys, before I remove all of this information and use this information to determine an equation of AD, is there someone who's got a question? Is there someone who doesn't understand that part? Or otherwise, are we all on the same page? Does everyone understand?
We understand, sir.
I understand, sir.
Okay, great. So now I'm going to remove all of this information. So guys, let's now use that information. Obviously, y is equals to, our gradient is 4 over 3 x plus c, and we said we are going to use that one point along AD, which is point A. Why A? Because it has got both the X and the Y value. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, why do we need to use that point? It's because we need to know the C value. Okay, so what is the C value, ladies and gentlemen? The C value is the y-intercept of line AD. So that means if we were to extend this line, ladies and gentlemen, if we were to extend that line, that point over there is our C value. What does it mean? Why do I have to show you that extension, ladies and gentlemen? Is because I want you to be aware that our C value has to be positive, because from there in that direction it's the positive Y values. For some reason, if you get a negative number, then no, somewhere, somehow you made a mistake. Let's now substitute. This is Y, this is X. So Y is 2, it's equals to 4 over 3 into -2 plus C. Okay, so guys, you can just multiply that. Obviously, it's 8 over 3. Remember that negative on this side, you've got 2. This is plus C, which means C is going to be equals to, you just transpose, which means you've got 2 plus 8 over 3. What is this, ladies and gentlemen? So you can just punch all of that on a calculator. 2 plus 8 over 3. I'm getting 14 over 13. Just let me know if you get a different answer. But I'm getting 14 over 3. Guys, can someone confirm if you're also getting the same answer?
I also got 14 over 3.
Okay, nice. So remember, guys, it's a positive value. So it gives me the confidence that that point over there, it could be 14 over 3. Okay, so that point over there, it's 14 over 3, which is a positive value. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. And again, it has to be a value greater than 2 because that point there is 2. So it has to be something or anything above 2. Guys, this is not the end of the answer. Remember, what they wanted from us is an equation of AD. Okay, so guys, an equation of AD is y is equals to, what is the gradient? It's 4 over 3x plus 14 over 3. So ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what the question wanted you to do, which is to determine the equation of line AD. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now, where are you getting your marks? So guys, let's see. For you to say this, ladies and gentlemen, they give you a mark. This is you saying the gradient of BC is equals to the gradient of AD. So you substituted it there knowingly that the gradient of BC is equals to the gradient of AD. Why? Because BC is parallel to AD. Okay, the other mark comes from correct substitution. Massively important, ladies and gentlemen. The last mark comes from you answering the question. What was the question, ladies and gentlemen? Determine an equation of line AD. So this is an equation for AD. Otherwise, if you ended your calculation there, then you were only going to get 2 marks. So ladies and gentlemen, that question again, are we all on the same page, or is there someone who's got a question before I remove all of this?
We're on the same page, sir.
Okay, great. So I assume we are all on the same page. I think before I forget, ladies and gentlemen, let's just write that over there, because I'm going to remove all of this. Make sure that these final answers that we are getting, you write them somewhere, just in case if I need to refer to whatever, ladies and gentlemen. So the gradient over there is 4 over 3x plus 14 over 3. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, then I know this is equation of AD. Okay, so guys, I'm going to remove all of this information. Just make sure that I don't move on to the next question without you understanding anything there, ladies and gentlemen. Please do make sure that you understand everything. And most importantly, make sure that you are able to see everything on the screen. If you're not able to see, remember to let me know, ladies and gentlemen, so that I can just reposition where necessary. So guys, determine the value of t. This is question 3.3. Determine the value of t. So now this is question 3.3. They want you to determine the value of t, the t value. Guys, listen to how this question is structured. The value of t. They did not say the coordinates, but instead the value of t. So that means in the end, you should say t is equals to whatever that you calculated. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it's very, very much important that at all times, especially from your first question, make sure that you get it correctly. Because otherwise, if you get it incorrectly, then it has a potential to affect all your upcoming questions. Okay, so guys, just in case if you get confused, just refer to the previous question to check if there's a connection or somehow it might help you to answer that particular question. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to notice something. We've got that point over there, we've got that point over there, we've got that point over there again. So this is that point D, this is that point A. Obviously, this is that N, which is T and 0. Okay, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we know what is the equation of that line. We know very well that is y it's equals to 4 over 3x plus 4 over 3. Guys, I'm not sure if you're able to see that equation there, but let me just make an assumption that you're not able to see and rewrite it somewhere. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm simply saying we know the equation of that line is y is equals to 4 over 3x plus 14 over 3. That we know we calculated in the previous equation. Ladies and gentlemen, that means we can use this formula of that equation to calculate the coordinates at any point along that line. Ladies and gentlemen, at any point along that line. So that means if we want to know the coordinates of that point, remember the coordinates is x and y. Okay, so if we want to know the x value, we can use that equation. Why? Because that point lies along that line. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. If we want to know the y value of that point, we use this formula. Why? Because that point lies along that line. Ladies and gentlemen, if we've got a point there called Z, can we use this formula to calculate either the x or the y value or the coordinates of Z using this formula, using the formula of that line? Ladies and gentlemen, an answer to that question, it's a very big no. Why? Because that point does not lie along that straight line of AD with that equation. Ladies and gentlemen, in short, I'm preparing you to answering the question where they want us to calculate or determine the value of t. So guys, t it's in that coordinates of n, or at that point of n. So t is actually the x coordinate of that point n. Is point n along line AD? An answer to that question, it's a big yes. Why? Because it is also confirmed in that given statement, ladies and gentlemen. So since that point lies along that line, it means we can use that equation, ladies and gentlemen. We can use that equation. The tricky part here is for you to be aware that t is actually the x value of that point. So when you substitute, you've got 0 as your y value. This is equals to 4 over 3. Then this is t, ladies and gentlemen, because we know t is the x value. Otherwise, even if you wrote x over there, but in the end, you must say x is equals to t, which is equals to whatever value that we are about to calculate. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, from there, we just add 14 over 3. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, I want to emphasize question number 1 of mathematics paper 1, because it involves a lot of solving for the unknown, of which I've explained in my previous lessons that in mathematics and also in physical sciences, we do a lot of calculations where we need to apply the basics of solving for the unknown. So ladies and gentlemen, please do make sure that you catch up on my previous lessons, and again, you attend my upcoming lessons. Guys, remember, in case if you want to catch up on my previous lessons, I know most of you already know my website, which is solvingexampapers.co.za. Under online classes, this is where I upload all these lessons that we are having, where I'm able to interact with you guys. So for those who are not able to watch this lesson or attend this lesson, they are going to catch it up there. So it helps me also not to explain one thing over and over again. So guys, now let's continue with answering the question. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that you need to ask yourself, are we expecting a positive value of t or a negative value of t? Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So let's check. T is the x value. Is it on the positive side of the x-axis or on the negative side of the x-axis? Obviously, it's on the negative side of the x-axis, which means t has to be a negative value. Okay, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, it has to be a negative value greater than 2, or otherwise it has to be a value less than negative 2. Why? Because we know that point over there, it's roughly we can say it's 1. That point there, we know it's negative 2. Obviously, it could be negative 3, negative 4, negative 2.5, or whatever number, as long as it's less than negative 2. That's why I'm saying, guys, it's very, very much important that you are able to visualize how your answer should look like. So before you perform any calculation, you should have some expectations in terms of how your answer should look like. So obviously, I know some of you have done this calculation already. You're just waiting for me to confirm your answers. So ladies and gentlemen, you can just otherwise multiply 14 by 3 and divide by 4, or otherwise you can just divide by the whole of that. Remember, always put in brackets when you punch on a calculator. So that means your t over there, you just divide by 4 over 3 deliberately so that it cancels and you remain with t, and you do the same, you say that divided by that same thing. So guys, what answer are we getting when we divide and calculate the x value of t? So I'm just going to quickly do that. It's over. I've got negative 14 at the bottom is 3 close divided by 4 divided over 3, which is equals to, I'm getting a negative 14 over 3. Guys, are you also getting the same answer? Can someone just indicate if you're also getting the same answer? I'm getting negative 14 over 3.
Yes, sir, I got the same answer.
Okay, let me check, guys. Let me check. Let me see. Let me just try to redo that calculation. Let's see. We said this is the equation of that line AD. Then we've got our y, obviously it's 0 there, which is equals to 4 over 3. The x value is represented by that. Obviously, we know the y value is 14 over 3. We transpose, then we've got negative 14 over 3. This is equated to 3 over 40. Then, if you obviously multiply by that, so you've got negative 14 multiplied by 4 at the bottom. What is it? Let me see, guys. That is multiplying that, then you divide by 3. Divide by 3. This should be equals to t. Then t, it's equals to. Okay. So, guys, can someone also try to punch that on a calculator and let me know if we are all getting the same answer? 14 over 3, that divided by what is it? It's 4 over 3. It's 7 over 2. Yeah. I've just noticed somewhere something went wrong. Guys, what are you getting when you say negative 14 over 3 divided by 4 over 3? What answer are you getting? Are you getting this, or are you getting negative 7 over 2?
I'm getting negative 7 over 2.
Okay, so that means anyone else?
Negative 7 over 2.
Okay, that's great. Then it means our t value is negative
And no, I can't find 7 over 2.
Negative 7 over 2. Okay, so this is how you do that calculation. It seems like most of you guys also got negative 7 over 2. So this is how you get that calculation. So obviously, what was it? On this side, it was negative 14 over 3, then say divided by 4 over 3. So punch this on a calculator and check if you don't get negative 7 over what is it? Negative 7 over 2. So negative 7 over 2, guys, in a form of decimal, it's negative 3,5. So can you see what I was talking about to say? It has to be less than negative 2. So this is negative 3,5, that point over there, which is the t value. So in the end, you say t, it's equals to negative 7 over 2. So whoever who got, or who said they didn't get negative 7 over 2, when you punch this, are you getting a negative 7 over 2?
Yes, what it said. Thank you.
Okay, great. So now let's move to the next question. So let's move to the next question, guys, which is question 3.4. It says calculate the length of AN. Calculate the length of AN. So remember, guys, the previous question was allocated 2 marks, and obviously it's 1 mark for correct substitution and 1 mark for final answer. So we are now on question 3.4, where they say determine the length of what is it, AN, which is the distance. So length and distance, it's one and the same thing. They are both measured in, if it's in centimeters, it's in centimeters, meters, millimeters, kilometers, whatever. So that is the length. So now they want the length of AN. Where is A? There is A. Where is N? N is there. So they just want that short distance, ladies and gentlemen. They just want that short distance from there up to there. For the fact that the question said calculate the length, that means you can use the distance formula, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously, we know the distance formula. What is it, guys? I need you to remind me of that formula. Is it what is it? Is it x2 minus x1? Is it like this? x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Is this how the formula looks like, ladies and gentlemen, before I check it on the formula sheet? Or otherwise, if you're not sure, just quickly check it, because I know you should be given the formula sheet. Oh no, in this case it means you're not given the formula sheet. Then you must know that formula by heart. So guys, is there someone to confirm for me if the distance formula, it looks like that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if my memory serves me well, it means this is how the formula looks like. So remember, they want for A, which is the coordinates we know is -2 and 2, and again, what is N? N, it's we just calculated it, it's -7/2, and then we know the Y value is 0. So based on my explanation, A comes first, B comes second. So this will be my x2, y2. This will be my x1, y1. So it's just a matter of substitution, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, what is my x2? So this is going to be my x2, which is in brackets -7/2 close, minus my x1. x1 is -2 in brackets, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very much important. Okay, this bracket closes for that bracket, then you square. Okay, plus y2. What is my y2? It's 0 minus my y1 is 2. So in short, this is the x of n minus the x of A, the y of n minus the y of A. Okay, so you just punch the whole of this on your calculator, and ladies and gentlemen, the answer that you get is the distance. So this is square root of into, you open bracket for the first time, you open it for the second time, and you say -7/2. Then on the other side, you close, you minus into -2, you close again, then you set squared. If you just close once, then it's more like you're only squaring 2 and not the whole of that. You're going to get a wrong answer. Plus 0 minus 2. You close, you squared. It's equals to. Remember, guys, that squared, it should be there also. Can you see? I didn't write it there, which is a good indication that we are most likely to make a mistake when rewriting the equation with substituted values. So there it has to be squared. So ladies and gentlemen, when I punch all of this, I'm getting 5/2, which is in decimal, I think it's 1, 2.5, is 2.5 units. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if when you punch all of this, you get the same answer. Anyone who has already done that calculation to confirm for me if I got that calculation correct. Obviously, if this is allocated 2 marks, you're going to get 1 mark for correct substitution, 1 mark for correct answer. Okay, so guys, any confirmation on that calculation?
It's correct, sir.
Okay, guys, let's now move to the next question. So I assume we are all on the same page on that calculation. So ladies and gentlemen, the other question says, if DC is defined by y is equals to 3/8x minus 3, let me write that down. If DC, where is DC? There is DC. So they're saying if DC is defined by y, it's equals to 3/8x minus 3. Determine the coordinates of D. And this question is allocated 4 marks. Massively important, ladies and gentlemen, that you are able to fully understand what the question wants you to calculate. Which question is this? This is question 3.5. Okay, so guys, on question 3.5, they want you to determine the coordinates of D, provided that the equation of DC is that one over there. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, at that point of D, that's the intersection of that line and again that line. Okay, remember, this is the common point. This is D, and there we've got that point which is A, and that point there we've got that C. Then if you extend it, you get a quadrilateral. So remember, guys, that line can still be extended, and also that line can still be extended. I just want you to notice that this is the point of intersection of 2 lines, which means at that point we've got the same x value and the same y value for these lines. Okay, which means the y value of this line is the same y value for that line. Similarly, the x value of that line is the same x value for that line. Why? Because this is the point of intersection. What does it mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means you can equate these 2 equations. Okay, so remember, for this one, it was found to be y, it's equals to 4/3x plus 14/3. So they just told us about this one, ladies and gentlemen, that one, which is 3/8x minus 3. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I want you to also notice something. So can you see, even though this is not drawn to scale, but let's just refer to that drawing. Can you see we've got positive gradient for that line? We also have a positive gradient for that line. And obviously, if we extend that line, we've got positive y-intercept, which is that positive y-intercept. Over there, we've got that negative y-intercept over there. So that line, it can still be extended up to infinity. So what matters the most in this case is to equate these 2 equations, to say 4/3x plus 14/3, which is that it is equals to 3/8 x minus 3. Why are we equating? It's because we know the y value of that function or that straight line is the same y value as that line. Why? Because this is the point where they touch each other. This is the point where they intersect. So now that you have equated the two, what's the next step? The next step is to solve for x. Okay, obviously, when you solve for x, ladies and gentlemen, or generally when you solve for the unknown, you want to have letters on the left equated to numbers on the right. Okay, so what do I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen? Let's move all the x values to the left. We've got 4 over 3x. Let's move this to the left. Obviously, it changes a sign. It becomes minus 3 over 8x. This is equals to, remember, on the right, we want to have the numbers. Let's move all of these numbers to the other side. Remember, when you transpose, it changes a sign. So generally, when we solve for the unknown, we want to have letters on the left. It's equals to numbers on the right. That is the reason why in most cases when you solve for x, in the end you say x, which is a letter, it's equals to maybe 2, which is a number. So that is the reason why at all times when you solve for x, move all the numbers to the left and move, the numbers with the letters to the left and the numbers to the right. So guys, it seems like I'm left with only 10%. I might need to quickly get my charger, but otherwise let's just continue with this calculation. So guys, while I go get my external charger, power bank, can we try to continue with this calculation? Just say this minus that, get an answer, write it down, punch all of this, write it down, and say whatever that you get divided by that number that you get, then is your x value. So I'll be back shortly in less than a minute. Please do make sure that you give me the final answer when I'm back. Okay, guys. Anyone who got an answer for the x value? So I'll also do that calculation. Let me see, 4 over 3, then minus 3 over 8. I'm getting, let's see, 23 over 24. So I'm getting 23 over 24x. This is equals to negative 3 minus 14 over 3, and I'm getting negative 23 over 3. So that means x is going to be equal to, so you just say the whole of this divided by the whole of that. So I'm just going to say divided by 23 over 24. So I'm getting my x value as negative 8. Ladies and gentlemen, is there someone who also got a similar answer? Guys, are we still there? Linda, Noma Puti, Lil Breeze. Are we still there, guys? Is there someone who also got the same answer as mine?
Yes.
Okay, nice. So now that we got the x value, we can use either this equation or that equation to calculate the value of y. So that means y, I'm not sure if you are able to see over there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let me do this. So that means y, it's equals to, let's just substitute it there. We're going to say 3 over 8 into, obviously we got negative 8 as our answer, minus 3, which is equals to, that is going to cancel. Then you've got a negative 3 minus 3, which is equals to negative 6. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if when you punch all of this, you're also getting the same answer. Otherwise, one may decide to substitute that value on that equation. So this is what you're going to have. Obviously, it's 4 over 3 into minus 8 plus 14 over 3. If you punch all of that and it doesn't give you the same answer, then it means somewhere, somehow, you made a mistake. Negative 8 plus 14 over, let me try to start that calculation. Is 4 over 3 into negative 8 close fraction button 14 over 3. I'm still getting negative 6, which means, ladies and gentlemen, which means the d coordinates, that's where the x value is negative 8 and the y value is negative 6. So guys, I'm not sure. Are we still on the same page? Are you sure, guys, you're not getting confused? Are you sure you are not lost, guys? Because I'm not really sure if what I'm explaining, it makes sense. And I just...
Sir, I didn't get to minus 8. I was able to find 3 minus 3 is equals to minus 6. I think I'm lost. I didn't punch the calculator right. Can you please repeat it again?
Which for which part? For when you calculate for the x value, is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay. Let me remove which information. Let me remove all of this, and again, let me just remove all of this calculation and start it again. So we say this is where the y values are the same. So you're going to equate these two equations. Plus 14 over 3 is equals to is 3 over 8x minus 3. So I hope you understood that part, to say we want to have the x values on the other side. So we're going to have 4 over 3x. It changes a sign. It's minus 3 over 8x, which is equals to negative 3, negative 14 over 3. Then we punch all of this on a calculator. So you say 4 over 3. So it's very, very much important that you've got this calculator which has a fraction button. So we say fraction button 4 over 3. Then plus it's minus 3 over 8. It's equals to, I'm getting 23 over 4. Write it down to say 23 over 24x. This is equals to, you punch the whole of that. So it's negative 3 minus 14 fraction button 3. So I'm getting 23 over 3. You write it down to say it's negative 23 over 3. Ne? So now you want to remove that. So let's divide both sides by 23 over 24. So you are forced to also divide on this side 23 over 24. Why do you divide by that? Is because you want it to cancel so that you've got the x value which is equals to then you punch the whole of this on a calculator. So when you punch the whole of that on a calculator, you're going to say fraction button, open bracket, negative fraction button, 23 at the bottom is 3 on the side, you close, then you go at the bottom, open bracket, over 23 at the bottom, 24 on the side, you close bracket, it's equals to, then you get negative 8. So I'm not sure if I was too fast or did you get that part, whoever who requested it to be explained again.
No, you were too fast, sir. Now I understand. Thank you. I got the same answer.
Okay, so remember guys, you will still have an opportunity to watch this lesson again. So I'm going to make it available on my website, but otherwise I'm glad you got the right answer. So can you see, obviously you won't struggle to get the y value because you can just substitute on any of these formulas. For example, I used that one of 3 over 8x minus 3 is 3 over 8, you substitute your negative 8 there, you close, minus 3 is equals to, you punch all of this on a calculator. So I just know 8 is going to cancel, then you've got minus 3, it's that minus over there, and then this is that minus 3, which is negative 6, which means the coordinates of D, it's negative 8 and negative 6. So the coordinates of D, it's negative 8, negative C. So ladies and gentlemen, up to this point, I'm not sure if we are on the same page and ready to move to the last question. Guys, I need an indication from your side. Are we still on the same page?
Yes, sir.
So everyone understands so far, ne?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It seems like that was not the last question that we need to do. So we just have 2 last more questions. So question 3.6 says, prove that ABCD is a parallelogram. So ladies and gentlemen, in this case, we need to prove that A, B, C, and D is a parallelogram. So ladies and gentlemen, there are multiple ways in which we can indicate that this is a parallelogram. Remember guys, I think I've explained previously that for this to be a parallelogram, we need to be having lines which are parallel to each other. And most importantly, I think in conclusion or in answering this question, we can simply say or to prove it, we can say the midpoint of that line is equals to the midpoint of that line. So remember guys, midpoint formula, let's say the midpoint of BA, no, not BA, but BD. The midpoint of that line, it's going to be X. It could be X of B plus X of D divided by 2, and again y of b plus y of d divided by 2. So now let's just proceed with this calculation. Let's check what is the x value of b. It's there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure if you are able to see, but I think you are able to see. The x coordinate of b is 6 plus the x coordinate of d, it's -8. All of this divided by 2. What is the y value of b? It's 5 plus the y value of d, it's -6. All of this divided by 2. So let's punch all of this and all of that and see what values we get. So you start with a fraction button and say 6 plus into -8 at the bottom, it's 2. So I'm getting -1, ladies and gentlemen. Then you do the calculation for that fraction button, 5 plus into -6, close at the bottom, you divide by 2, and I'm getting -1/2. Guys, before I continue with this question, are you guys understanding this part? Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Remember what we're okay, no, it seems like that wasn't the question. So guys, we are still going to perform the same calculation, but in this case using the m of AC. M of AC. Obviously, A is the same formula, but we can say x of A plus x of C divided by 2, y of A plus y of C divided by 2. So now, let's see. Let me see, ladies and gentlemen. Up to there, you are able to see. Then, let's substitute, guys. Let's substitute. What is the y of A? Where is A? There is A. No, the x, it's -2 plus the x of C, it's 0 divided by 2. What is the y of A is 2 plus the y of C, it's -3, close, divided by 2, close. Then let's punch all of this on a calculator. We are expecting to find these same values. If we get these same values, ladies and gentlemen, then it means indeed this is a parallelogram, because we've just indicated that this is the intersection of that line and that line if this is a parallelogram. So when you substitute that, I know it's -2/2, it's -1 already. So let's see, what about this? This is obviously 2 minus 3, it's -1, obviously over 2 over 2. So you can see it's the same as that one. So guys, I'm not sure if you also get the same answer when you punch both of those values. Guys, do you get the same answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Which is an indication that that is correct. So obviously, guys, in terms of the marking, you will get maybe 1 mark for correct substitution for the x and y value, and 1 mark for the final answer. So it could be how you get your 3 marks. So the last question says, calculate the coordinates of M. So ladies and gentlemen, can you see? We have already calculated for the coordinates of M. I'm not sure if it makes sense in terms of how you calculate the coordinates of M. Guys, do you understand how to calculate the coordinates of M?
No, sir.
Okay. Let me just use what I've done to explain. M is the midpoint of this and that. M is the midpoint of this and that. So M is that center of these lines. So you can choose to use that point and that point, and you use the same formula to calculate the coordinates of M. So it's more like you just do exactly as we did. This is how you calculate the coordinates of M. I'm not sure, guys, if it makes sense.
It makes sense, sir.
It does make sense, sir.
Okay, so remember, guys, assuming that in this way we answered question 3.7. Let's go back to question 3.6, which says prove that this is a parallelogram. So this is one of the ways in which we can prove that that is a parallelogram. Remember, guys, if this is a parallelogram, it means this gradient and that gradient are the same. First thing. The second thing, this is the midpoint of that line and that line. The other thing, it means this line and that line must be parallel for this to be a parallelogram. The other thing is that distance or that length must be the same length or distance as that length. Similarly, that length must be the same length as that length. So there are multiple ways in which you can prove that this is a parallelogram. So guys, I want us to do a very, very quick calculation where we prove, or maybe let's say we use a different method to prove that this is a parallelogram. Let's say we use this and that. What are we using? The gradient formula. So let's say the gradient of AB obviously is equals to, let's use those as y2. Y2 is going to be 5 minus a 2 there on A, then x2 it's 6 minus over there we've got minus 2. Let's punch all of this on a calculator. So I'm just going to quickly punch it for you. It's 6 minus into negative 2 close. It's equals to 3 over 8 is equals to 3 over 8. So that means the gradient of that line must be equal to the gradient of this line, because already we know the gradient of this and that are the same. So that means the gradient of this and that must be the same. Let's now calculate the gradient of DC, A, B, C, D. No, then it's going to be the gradient of C, D following the alphabetical order. Then what is there? The Y, it's negative 6 minus the Y of C there, it's negative 3 divided by the X of C, the X of D, it's negative 8 minus 0 there. Then now let's punch all of this on a calculator. So we're going to have -6 minus into -3 close at the bottom. You've got -8 minus 0. It's equals to 3/8. So can you see, guys? 3/8. So that means this serves as proof that A, B, C, and D is a parallelogram. A, B, C, and D is a parallelogram. So by just doing this, ladies and gentlemen, you get your full marks. Or otherwise, you can do that previous calculation that we did where we were calculating for the coordinates of D. Okay, and remember, guys, you can still make use of the distance formula to calculate the distance of that, which must be equals to the distance of that. And again, calculate the distance of that, which must be equals to the distance of that. Okay, do not confuse this part, guys. The distance of that and that cannot be equal to the distance of this up to that. It may be equal, but in this case, we're able to see that this is the longer length and this is a bit shorter. So, guys, a parallelogram simply means two lines parallel, two lines parallel, two lines equal in terms of length or distance, two lines equal in terms of length or distance. And again, when joining the points, where that point, at the crossing point or at the intersection or at the point of interception, that's where you've got the same coordinates, which is the midpoint of that line and that line. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if you fully understood that part. Can I get an indication if we all understood before I close this lesson? Guys, any comments generally on this lesson? How was it?
It was a good lesson, sir.
So, does that mean
Yeah,
everyone
I
understood?
Yes.
Norma, any comments, questions?
No, sir, I enjoyed the lesson. I don't have any questions so far. Thank you.
Okay, so guys, I hope I'm going to see you on the next lesson where we do another question which falls under analytical geometry. So I assume since we've got no questions, this is an indication that you all understood. So guys, thanks very much for joining. I think this is that time where I need to sign out and say my name is Desmond and I'm out. Remember, guys, this lesson is going to be available on my website. So just in case if you need a link to catch up, you can just let me know. So let me see. I hope this lesson was recording, guys. Yes, it was recording.